Pure Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this broadcast and does not represent that the securities or services discussed are suitable for any investor. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the broadcast in the process of making a full informed investment decision. This is Your Money, Your Wealth on Talk Radio 760 KFMB. Now, here's Joe Anderson and Big Al Clopine.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. My name's Joe Anderson. I'm a certified financial planner. I am with Alan Clopine. He's a CPA. I appreciate you tuning in to us each and every week. Go to iTunes if you want to get our podcast of the program. Go to Your Money, Your Wealth via iTunes. Just go to iTunes and search that. You can also subscribe on our website at purefinancial.com, and then or any else where you find, I guess, podcasts are.
Yeah,
located.
Well, I have a podcast app on my iPhone. That's where I find it, and I just type in Your Money, Your Wealth in the search bar. That's how I do it.
That's it. Boom.
That's all I do.
All right.
Yeah.
What else you got there, buddy?
Well, we're still talking about Roth IRAs.
We got one more or something?
We do.
Get all 7?
Yeah, we got to do them all. You know me. Did 6 already. So
what's the 7th?
The 7th is you can contribute as late or as early as you want. And like, for example, let's just say you're in your 70s, and some of us in our 70s are still working.
Some of us?
Some of us.
Are you in your 70s?
Not yet. I'm just
I'm
imagining.
Some of us in our 70s are still working.
I was talking to our listeners.
Some of you in your 70s.
Well, I didn't want to make them feel bad. That's why I said us. But you and I are not there. I'm in my 50s, and you're in your 40s.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Barely hanging on to my 50s, I'll tell you that. But anyway, the point is, after age 70 and a half, you cannot do an IRA contribution, but you can do a Roth IRA contribution.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual.
Kind of weird, huh? But that's the rule.
It's like, all right, at 70 and a half, because they don't want you to take the deduction?
Yeah, I think the idea was that you don't need to put money into retirement anymore, but then why would they let you do a Roth? And why would they let you do a 401k? What's the difference? Because you can put money into a 401k
at any age.
Past 70 and a half.
You're 90. You're still working.
And you can put money into a Roth IRA past 70 and a half. Right?
Why can't you do an IRA? What's the rationale?
I don't know. I think it's like a lot of IRS law. It's like one thing layered on top of another, and someone didn't realize, we already did it this way, so maybe we should be consistent. I don't know.
So stupid. It's like, okay, well, here now, they don't want people to get a deduction in an IRA. I mean,
I don't know. And here's another one. Why can, when you inherit a Roth IRA, you cannot do a Roth conversion, but when you inherit a Roth 401k?
No, when you inherit an IRA, you cannot do a Roth conversion.
Sorry,
when you inherit a 401k, you can.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Regular IRA, you inherit it, you cannot do a Roth conversion, as a non-spouse beneficiary.
Right.
You inherit your parents'
401k.
You can convert it. Why?
I don't know. Stupid. So stupid. Right?
Anyway, we do talk a lot about Roth IRAs, and I have, on occasion, been referred to as, you're the Roth guys.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess that's a compliment.
I don't know.
I mean, we really do believe in Roths. Roths are not for everybody.
Well, I mean, there's $24 trillion in retirement accounts. You and I would say that we're pretty good experts on the topic.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you have all that money in a retirement account, wouldn't you rather have it go tax-free?
Yeah, but I mean,
I'd much rather be the Roth guy than the annuity guy.
Well, yeah, me too. I have another article that I won't even get into because it's so terrible, but it's 8 proven ways to boost your income in retirement, and the third one is get an annuity.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all right with an immediate annuity.
Yeah, I am too, but
that means you're just giving your money in exchange for immediate income,
right?
Versus these deferred annuities that have benefit riders on them. I'm not.
And here's another one: dividend-paying stocks.
Sure.
Deliver more income.
Of course they do.
Right, and borrow against your life insurance policy. We got great ideas here. These are. This was written by an insurance agent.
And I know there's a lot of dividend lovers out there, and we always kind of have an argument because
we do. Why do we not like dividend-paying stocks?
I love dividend-paying stocks. All of our portfolios have dividend-paying stocks.
That's true. Let me rephrase that. Why do we not want to solely focus on dividend?
Because that's a
stocks?
concentrated position, first of all,
Yeah.
right? So there's a lot of risk involved. And then let's say, well, no, Joe, I'm buying, or Al, I'm buying a high yield dividend ETF or index fund or mutual fund.
Right.
Okay, well then now you're concentrated within these high dividend paying stocks, which are highly overpriced because a lot of individuals are taking, hearing that, because who doesn't want a dividend? I want a dividend. That's why we buy stocks.
Yeah. So I mean,
You either buy it for the growth or you will buy it for the dividend.
but how
or both.
many times do we hear, Joe, Al, you don't understand. With a high dividend paying stock, you get the capital appreciation and income,
Sure.
right?
Well,
So what's wrong with that?
But here's the problem: is that what people don't get is that once the dividend is distributed to the individual, the stock price is reduced by the amount of the dividend.
Now that bears repeating. So a dividend is paid by the company, and if you'll notice, the next day the stock price goes down in the same relationship.
So if you have a $10 stock and they give you $1 dividend, the stock price goes to $9 a share.
Yes, that's exactly right. And people say, no,
No, it
that's not
doesn't.
true.
You're crazy. Well, I mean, no, not my dividend-paying stock. What you have some weird,
That's how this works.
magical stock?
It's
No.
how it's always worked.
It's called it's capital outflow.
Right.
It's a business. They're distributing capital out to you. Of course, it has to happen that way.
You know, you listen to people like Warren Buffett, and he's got it right. He says, I don't particularly want to focus on high dividend paying stocks because then I'm going to have to pay tax at the company's wishes
Versus my own.
Whereas if I invest in a stock that appreciates without paying a lot of dividends, then I can choose when I want my own dividend by selling enough shares to create the income I want.
Correct. It's a synthetic dividend, if
Right.
you will. So,
Right.
so Alan's got a strategy. Alan's got a high dividend paying stock. It's worth $10 a share. It kicks out $1 dividend, right? And he's really happy about that. I have a stock, right? It doesn't kick out any dividends, right? And it's $10 a share, but it grows, right? The same. Let's say we have the same expected rate of return on each of the different companies.
Right.
Yours distributes a dividend. Mine does not.
Right.
Right? I still need that dollar income. So what do? I just sell a share, right, when I need it,
And so you get the dollar that way.
and I get the dollar that way. So at $10, I sell $1, now $9. Alan, his company is dependent on when that dividend is distributed. Do they cut the dividend? Are they going to increase it? I can do the exact same thing on my side, right? But I'm cutting my dividend when I see fit.
So in my case, I get the dividend every year whether I want it or not.
And then you have to pay tax
And I pay
on it.
tax on it. And
Yes.
if I'm reinvesting my dividend, then I'm paying tax on something I never really got in my pocket.
Right. And then it's like, well, here I'm paying. Why am I paying all this tax? Well, because they're kicking out a lot of dividends. You're reinvesting those dividends. If you are in a high dividend strategy and you don't necessarily need the income, you have to maybe readjust. I don't get us wrong. We're big fans of all stocks that kick out dividends or not. You just want to be a little bit more sophisticated in your strategy instead of saying, hey, I'm solely focusing on a high dividend yielding, stock to give me my income. You could create a synthetic one. And a couple of years ago, they were going to classify dividends as ordinary income.
Right.
That could easily happen again. It was in the past.
Yes.
Who knows under this administration what's going to happen with taxes? We have his tax reforms of what he wants to do.
Right. You're referring to President Trump?
Yes.
Yes.
But nothing's concrete and things can change.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding the current environment that you're in and making sure that you're extremely tax efficient with the dollars that you have.
Right. And I think that's, again, I'll go back to Warren Buffett. That's exactly what he says. It's why not have control over this? In fact, that's why his companies tend not to pay dividends, because he'd rather have his shareholders, of which he is one of, be able to control when they want that income.
Right.
And that's the whole point. Because the dividend itself, when it's paid, your stock price goes down by the same amount. And a lot of people fight us on that, but it's true. That's how this works. So at any rate, Joe, it's talking about dividends, talking about taxes, and if you're in a high dividend paying strategy, it's not necessarily the most tax efficient because.
All right, we got to take another break. Show's called Your Money or Wealth.
This is Your Money, Your Wealth on Talk Radio 760 KFMB.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Show's called Your Money or Wealth. My name's Joe Anderson. I'm a certified financial planner with Al Clopine. He's a CPA. Thanks for tuning into the program. are we done with your little list? That was like a long-ass list.
Yeah, I think so. I could keep going, or if you want to switch to something else.
No, whatever you got.
Okay, well, we kind of had gotten into 8 proven ways to boost your retirement income. we sort of glossed over consider annuities for reliable income, which Joe and I are not real big fans unless it's a fixed annuity that's an immediate. What's it called?
Immediate annuity?
Immediate annuity. Mm-hmm. Here's one. We talk about this all the time, but I guess it sort of bears repeating. Delay your retirement by a few years, right?
Yeah, that can have a gigantic impact.
It's amazing. Sometimes we run analysis for people if they retire at 65 versus 68, and it's like incredibly different because what happens is in a lot of cases, people are at relatively high earning years at that point. So they're putting maximum amounts in their 401k. They're getting maximum matching from their employer.
Right, and it's not one-to-one, right? You would think, okay, well, if I extend my retirement by 2 years, then that means my money would last 2 extra years.
Right.
It's the ratio is extremely higher than that.
And part of this happens because you're at the highest savings rate that you've ever had. So if you wait another year before you start tapping into that, it starts to grow more exponentially.
Right.
Right? So 3 more years, or whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be 3 years, but it's just amazing. You work 3 more years and your money may last another 6 to 8 years. Right. It's crazy how that works out.
Because a couple of things is what you realize is that, all right, the later you tap into your investments, of course, right? You have more compounding. That's a pretty good deal. Mm-hmm. So you're not tapping into your overall investments. You're still adding to it, and you're delaying your Social Security. Those 3 things compounded is a dramatic impact on your overall situation.
Yeah, and so right now the full retirement age is 66 years and 2 months.
Yes, it is.
And you can wait as late as age 70 to collect Social Security. And the difference between, I'm just going to say 66 and 70 because that's what it was last year, and I know the percentage. The difference is 32%. So in other words, you have about a third again as much of Social Security income by waiting that extra 4 years. So if you were going to get $30,000 at 66, right, you get about $40,000 at age 70. That's a big difference. So you let your money grow longer, you added to it, you didn't take from it, and you get higher Social Security. Now, when you add the Social Security component, sometimes working just a few more years could add 10 years to your portfolio.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It is amazing, Al.
It's amazing.
It is very amazing.
Oh, and that leads into what else does that lead into? How about see whether a reverse mortgage makes sense for you?
It could. It could very well.
We did a webinar on home equity, right?
Right.
And
yes.
so that was one of the things we talked about.
And so I think it's becoming more of mainstream financial planning than ever before because of the new law changes.
Yeah,
it's cheaper. There's more flexibility. You could watch our hour webinar on this. But I think a lot of times when people talk about a reverse mortgage, it's the last resort, right?
Well, that's what
this
they
is.
think.
And
honestly, we used to say that too.
Right.
And the reason is because there seem to be a lot of abuses and a lot of issues and very expensive and a lot of costs. And about, 3 years ago, it seems like some of the laws it got changed. There's a lot more protection. It's not as expensive. And we don't sell reverse mortgages, but we've been kind of paying attention. And a lot of people in our industry that are fee-only, fiduciary, that don't sell reverse mortgages are saying, hey, these are now worth a look again.
Right.
And that doesn't mean it's for everybody,
Sure.
right? And a reverse mortgage, by the way, it's not like you're going to get millions out of it. I mean, probably the highest amount you'll get is $300,000. Or
there's jumbo ones.
Maybe.
There's all sorts of different types of programs that you could do. And then if you take a look at the line of credit aspect of it, it's worth a look because here's how we use it, or look at it in 2 ways. There's more than 2, but here's the 2 main ones from a financial planning perspective. Right? Is that speaking of Social Security, it might make sense for me to delay Social Security as long as I can to get that 8% delayed retirement credit from your full retirement age to age 70.
Yeah.
So you get that 8% delayed credit plus whatever cost of living. I think this year's cost of living was, 0.01?
Yeah, it was the lowest ever. That wasn't zero.
Yeah, that wasn't zero. So you get the cost of living plus that 8% delayed credit, so that could be a fairly significant increase long term. So it's like, all right, well, here, I still want income when I retire. So what's another way to do this? As I'm delaying my Social Security, and I might not want to touch my investable accounts.
Right.
Well, you could do a reverse mortgage that could create maybe $1,000, $1,500 or something like that of income from the equity of your home, right? And that would be tax-free to you. So now you're getting some additional income where you don't necessarily have to tap in, take your Social Security benefits or tap into your investments. And by the way, that income's tax-free. So on the flip side of that, looking at doing Roth conversions, converting IRA dollars to a Roth, because that income that you're receiving from the reverse mortgage is tax-free to you. So you're getting income tax-free as you're creating more tax-free income long-term by doing Roth conversions and delaying your Social Security.
Yeah,
so it's a supplement. It's a bridge,
triple combo, and that's a perfect combination for some people, because it's like, all right, I'm going to get more Social Security, and by the way, up to at least 15% of Social Security is tax-free, sometimes more depending upon your income level, and the money in the Roth is tax-free, right? So it does a couple things for you. And
again, it's another compounding effect. It's like with planning, it's not. It should be like 1 + 1 is 2, but no, sometimes 1 + 1 = 4.
True.
Right? So if you do, all right, well, if I have the right Social Security combination, if I understand the taxation of the Social Security income that I'm going to receive, should I look at another way to create income, which I could receive and not necessarily pay any tax on it, to take other dollars that would be taxed to me, ordinary income, by converting those into a tax-free vehicle down the road? So it's not like looking at things in a silo. You have to look at your taxes, your investments, your retirement income strategy, and also your estate planning all in one fell swoop here, right? And I think that is missed by a lot of individuals that do this themselves. They look at, well, here, I'm just focused on my investments and I have this asset allocation. And then I'm doing my own taxes, right? But they're not looking at, well, your investments cost tax. And they might not be looking long term to say, wow, wait a minute, I might be paying more taxes in retirement than I ever thought I would, because all of my money is in retirement accounts, because I try to save tax diligently throughout my life by maxing out pre-tax retirement plans.
Sure.
Right? And then you have to look at, well, how much money do I want to go to the next generation? What's the best asset to pass there? Is it a 401k plan? That's probably the worst asset to pass. Is it a Roth IRA? That might be the best asset to pass. So it's not looking at one. You have to look at all of this because it's all intertwined. Got to take a break. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth.
Now back to Your Money, Your Wealth on Talk Radio 760 KFMB.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. Joe Anderson here, certified financial planner. I'm with Alan Clopine. He's Big Al. Hey, Al, since we're talking Roth IRAs, I got an email question for you.
Okay.
Can I claim a loss from my Roth IRA?
Can I claim a loss from the Roth IRA?
Yeah, so let's say, so I have a Roth IRA that was opened up 10 years ago.
Okay.
I have contributed about $15,000 and lost 80% of it due to some stocks that I invested in.
Bummer.
Can I claim this 80% loss on my tax return?
The answer is no.
I know that I can claim up to $3,000 a year for capital losses in regular investments.
True.
But can I claim my loss in the Roth IRA when I withdraw the money or sell the stocks?
Yeah, interestingly enough, once any kind of dollar goes into a Roth IRA or regular IRA for that matter, the capital gain rules don't apply anymore. So you don't get to claim the gains or losses. If it's a Roth IRA, you don't pay any taxes on the gain, but the flip side is you don't get any benefit for the loss either.
There's some convoluted rule.
That if you have a loss in an IRA and if you take it out in quick enough time, you can put it as a miscellaneous itemized deduction. Right. I think that's what you're referring to. Yeah. I don't usually go over that because it's too complicated.
Way too complicated for the show.
It's too complicated for me. But the general answer is no. Once the money goes into the Roth IRA, you don't pay tax on the growth, but you don't get any deduction for the loss. So don't get crazy with your Roth IRAs. Don't speculate with those dollars and have it go down to zero, because then you got a bunch of money into it that is after tax money that you already paid taxes on You lose it, you get no benefit.
Right. You got to be prudent on your investment strategy when it comes to Roth planning.
Yeah.
I think you want to have assets that have higher expected returns than others, but you don't want to speculate.
Right. So I'm all for smaller companies and value companies because they tend to outperform larger companies and
Over
growth
a long
companies
period of time.
over a long period of time. And a Roth IRA should be a long-term investment, but I don't want one or two of them. That's speculating.
Right, or penny stocks or something stupid like that.
I want an index fund that has 1,000 of them. That's what I want, and that's what you should want too, because now you've got something that likely has a higher expected return over time. Right? It's over. I got to say that because it's not every year.
Right.
Some years they underperform other kinds of stocks.
Or just understand that it's difficult to get money into a Roth IRA because there's contribution limitations. You can only, $5,500 or $65,000. So it's not like a brokerage account where it's unlimited. If you got millions, right, whatever, you can speculate with some of those assets. But with Roth, you got to be careful there because the IRS only allows you a certain dollar figure. And then if you convert money, that's unlimited. But just realize you're paying tax as you convert those dollars.
Sure.
So now you paid the tax, now it goes into the account, and if that account loses 80%, well, you lost more than 80% because you paid tax going into it too.
Right.
So you just want to be prudent in your overall strategy. Hey, this is from a younger listener, Al.
Okay, good.
I'm 22 years old and currently applying to pharmacy schools.
Okay.
I've been accepted to one school and waiting to hear back from a few others. I will likely incur somewhere from $150,000 to $200,000 in student loans after graduation.
Oh, boy.
That number is incredibly daunting. I'd like advice on investment or saving strategies so I can begin making headway on the loans before I graduate. I've opened a Roth IRA and I'm currently investing in ETFs. I also invest in lending club loans and real estate crowdfunding site. How else can I further prepare myself for the student debt?
Wow. Okay, I'm going to be like the dad because I have two sons, one age 24 and one age 26. And if they came to me with this, I would kind of flip out and I would say, no, this isn't a good course of action. Let's think about this. I mean, if it's going to be pharmacy, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad profession, but let's look at all the potential avenues. There's got to be certain schools that you're not going to incur $150,000 to $200,000 of debt. I've got to believe that. Maybe it's a state school. It's not a private school, but it's something that you're going to end up. I don't want any of my kids or any of your kids to have $150,000 to $200,000 of debt.
But that's the trend, Al.
I know, and I don't.
I saw a stat here that retirees. The federal government has taken more money out of Social Security benefits, debited Social Security benefits,
right,
because of student loan debt that grandparents picked up for their grandchildren.
Yeah, and it's not getting paid, so they're withholding it.
You got it.
Yeah.
But all right, so I can see where this guy's coming from. He's got you want to go. Well, pharmacists, they make good money.
They do.
He's 22.
I'm not saying they don't.
All right, so let's just say this. Okay, you got the $200,000. Now you're going to be 26, 27 years old when you're out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Say something like that. Whatever. Depends on how smart the guy is or
right.
girl is. So what does a pharmacy make? A pharmacist make? 150,000?
Probably 100 plus. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I would do this. I would start living, right? If you're spending, let's say, $30,000 a year to live, right? As a 22-year-old, maybe it's 40. I don't know. $30,000. Then you get your paycheck of $100,000. You still live on $30,000 a year, and you rapidly pay those off. He's saving money, right? He's 22. He's got a Roth IRA. He's got some ETFs. He's doing some lending club stuff, crowdfunding. All right, I like that. But you have to say, all right, you got to come up with a strategy to say, if I have this debt, right, $200,000 at this time frame, here's going to be my debt payments after that. Right, I like where he's like, I'm going to incur this down the road. So if I can get, how do I get ahead of this thing?
Right.
Well, you look at living as a pauper, and then taking everything else that you make when you make that paycheck, and you throw it towards that debt as fast as you can. Here's what you should not do. All right, because what happens, Al? Right, your kid gets a job now, $150,000. How much are they going to spend that first year?
Yeah, 150.
170. Right? Another $20,000 in debt. That's what happens. The more people make, the more they spend.
Right.
And so you have to just get yourself in a mindset to say, all right, here's what I'm spending. I know I'm going to have this big debt looming over my head, and whatever the payment is, and it's a $200,000 mortgage is going to push that thing out 30 years. It might cost you a couple thousand a month. But for this individual, no, you're going to put $40,000 a year to this debt. $50,000 if you're making that type of money is I think is how I would want to look at this.
Yeah, I still don't like it. So what you're saying is true, and you look at this sort of like a businessman would. In other words, here's the cost. How am I going to pay it off?
I think you know why you hate this so much is because you probably spent that on college education.
I did on my second son. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I know. That's why you're all bitter.
I don't like
you got
it.
bitter beer taste now.
And then you spend that on undergraduate. Oh, by the way, Dad, I need another $200,000. It's like what?
So Clopine has spent this.
I still want you to think outside the box. I want you to go to a state school. I want you to get a.
You're going to a community college.
I
want you to prove yourself before
I want you to get a job at the state school so you get discounted tuition. I want you to live with 20 other people and have a part-time job. I'm going Dave Ramsey on this one.
So if Al could go back in time, he's speaking from experience because
don't make
he
my
forked out a
mistake.
couple $100,000 just recently for a 4-year education for his youngest son.
It was probably only 180.
Oh, you got a discount, huh? Oh.
Because I did all these cool things.
Yes, right.
I tried to get a job at University of Colorado, but they wouldn't hire me.
They wouldn't, huh?
They said we don't need any CPAs that talk about Roth IRAs.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
well, yeah, that's the problem. I mean, because student loans are so easy to get.
They are.
Right?
Yes.
And so,
I mean, we saw a couple once that was it a dentist and a doctor, and they had $1 million of debt.
$1 million.
Now I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was about $600,000 of student loan debt. It was $400,000 of buying a dental practice.
Yep.
It was over $1 million. It was like 1.1, 1.2 million.
Yeah, and the dental practice was like in Hemet or something, right?
It wasn't even that profitable.
Yeah. Right.
So there is. I do agree with the concept of what you're saying, but if you're going to incur any debt, which I really don't like when it comes to college, but sometimes it's unavoidable,
Sure.
then have a plan to pay it off.
Right.
And if you're going to incur that kind of debt, make sure it's a profession that will pay. I mean, if you're going to incur that kind of debt to go into philosophy, you're crazy. Unless you're going to be a philosophy professor at Stanford.
Oh, God, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Clopine, a little spicy.
I don't like this.
That's a hot button. We're going to talk about student debt every week. All right, we got to take a break. We'll come back and wrap this show up. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth.
This is Your Money, Your Wealth on Talk Radio 760 KFMB.
Hey, welcome back. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. Joe Anderson here. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm with Alan Clopine. He's a CPA. Thanks for tuning in. We're wrapping the show up today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. All right. Here's another. This is on the other side of the spectrum now. We got another email question.
Excellent.
Actually, that one was actually titled, My Father Paid $200,000 in Debt.
How can I get him to do it again?
Yes.
My dad paid $200,000 for my undergraduate. Now I need $200,000 for grad. What suggestions? How can
I'm really thinking about going back to school.
How can I con him into that
Because-
amount? Actually, I have an answer for that because I did it. Here's my answer: is son, love for you to go to graduate school, but I will pay half of the tuition of a college of a California
State school?
in-state tuition.
Half.
Half of it, yeah.
So what's that, 10 grand?
Yeah, something like that
Per
per
year?
year. Probably less than that.
Another 40.
Maybe.
Just ring it up. Look at the big wallet on Big Al. I wish I was your kid.
But see, I'll pay 10 if my kid's going to pay 10.
Yeah, that's
But I'm not going to pay 200 again. Even if I adopt a kid. Adopt a kid from Africa.
yeah, right.
You're going to community college,
Yes,
and
yes.
then maybe your mom can work at San Diego State, and you can get in for free.
There you go. How about this? should I retire early to take care of my parents?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Within the next 6 months, I plan to quit working so that I can relocate and take care of my parents.
Okay.
I'll be 50 years old at that time. I have no debt, not married, have
Yeah.
no children, have no life. All of,
Does it say that?
no,
That's commentary.
all of my, I'm just feeling depressed reading this. All of my living expenses will be paid for by my parents as compensation for taking care of them.
Okay.
In addition, I have a $700,000 nest egg.
Okay.
Many
That's
friends
good.
and colleagues are telling me I'm ridiculous to retire so early. I don't agree. What is your opinion?
Wow. Well, let's see. I guess the parents are paying everything. So does that? We don't know how well off they are. We don't know how many beneficiaries. Is she the only child, or we don't know?
Well, no idea.
I mean, let's just say she's an only child and her parents are loaded. I'd say go for it. There's my answer.
Right. Well,
Right? But if the parents have a few $100,000,
all right. Well, let's just say
and
this.
there's 10 kids,
So
I said you're crazy.
I don't think I would not call this retirement. I would say, hey, you are a wonderful child that is taking care of your elderly parents. I have an elderly parent that's living with me right now. That's so, but I'm not retiring.
Well, it's true, but that's just her vacation home.
Yes,
Your
I know.
home
My
has,
house is my
what,
vacation.
6 or 7 bedrooms or something?
No, it's not that much. It's 5.
5.
Yes.
It's
So
still pretty good for a single guy. you go big, I'll tell you.
it's a little house.
It's a little house.
It just
Yeah,
has these little tiny. Anyway, all right.
You have to have
So-
like a walkie-talkie in that house.
Yes, right.
Call your mom. Mom, I'm on the 3rd floor.
Right.
Come on up.
She can't make it upstairs. All right. So 50. So you got to look at this. Is that I think take care, have a little hiatus if you will, right? How bad of shape as mom and dad are they going to live another 20 years or are they going to live another 2 years, right? You
Right.
got to kind of take a look at that. If they're going to live another 20 years and pay the bills, what the heck, right? If they're going to live a couple years, well, it's like, all right, you're 50. That's pretty young, and you have $700,000. Well, you probably, let's say if they pass in a couple of years, now you're 52.
Right.
You still have 40 years of life. $700,000 is not going to cut it.
No, unless they're loaded. I'll go back
Unless
to my...
unless
And you're the sole
and,
beneficiary.
yes, and they inherit a bunch of money. Right.
But
So I would say that this person's ridiculous.
No, and actually, so trying to be a little bit more serious now, this is really common.
Very much so.
Very common, and in fact, it's why the stats are roughly 50% of the people out there retire earlier than they expect to, and this is one of the main reasons. They're taking care of somebody, whether it's parents or spouse, and I think, honestly, I think that's great. I think you got a big heart. I would say you're a saver. I like your approach, Joe, which this may not be forever. You can always go back and work. This isn't a forever retirement.
Right.
But no, I'd say you got $700,000, and which probably means you had a job that was
Highly compensated.
highly compensated for you to save that
And
much.
had a 401k and they probably worked there for
Right.
20 years.
Right. So yeah, I we don't have enough facts to really say yay or nay, but yeah, there's a lot of positives here. I don't think you're crazy either.
Yeah. But to call it retirement, I wouldn't say it's retirement. I would be it's a hiatus probably.
Yeah, it's a break. It's a sabbatical.
Yeah,
or
sabbatical
whatever you
or-
want to, whatever term you want to use.
Sure.
It's just to imply to your friends, this isn't necessarily a permanent thing,
Right.
unless the parents are loaded. Then it's permanent.
Then it's permanent. Then I'm good. So,